Another little largie. Tiny guy. This is a 1/2 ounce, like a green pumpkin brown kind of a color. It's called Go-To. It's a Luke Clawson casting jig by Dirty Jigs. It's just a good compact profile, lighter hook than I normally throw. Because again, we're not fishing giant fish here, I don't think. But just a general natural color. That green pumpkin, watermelon, brown, anything in those tones will get bit almost anywhere you go. It's just a really good general color to start with, and you can dial from there if you need to. I'm just gonna shake that jig along the bottom, see what happens. We're sitting in 26 foot. I was marking those fish just in from where we are now. Might have to really finesse and might have to put a worm on or something, but I hope not. I would much prefer that we never have to do that. Just because we're here, this pocket looks. Oh. There we go. Smallmouth. Not the biggest one in the world, but it's the right color. Slow rolling. I don't know if you could see the bushes over here, but I was slow rolling down the edge of those bushes. That one came out and tagged it. What I was starting to say is that because this cut looks so good, we're gonna go back through here real quick. It's the first real creek channel I've seen, and it's not a very deep one. It doesn't go back there very far. So it'll only take a couple minutes to fish back through it. We'll see what's inside. You know, I'm seeing exactly what I would expect to see. There's a little bit of brush standing up in here. We're only in 6.5 feet of water going in. The tops of every one of these little stick ups has either juvenile bluegill or juvenile bass sitting in it. If there was a big largemouth in this lake, this is the sort of stuff I think she would be in. There's just a ton of food. It's backwater enough that she's not going to have to compete with the stripers. And it's not a matter of getting eaten by the striper for a big largemouth. It's just a matter of having to compete with them. They're a faster fish. They're going to take the majority of the food. This is absolutely where I would expect to find a big largemouth. I'm just not sure that there's any in this lake. Before today, I wasn't even sure there was a largemouth in this lake. I had just heard about smallmouth. But if she were here, this is where she'd be. Oh! Blew it. Just came back for it. Got him. Jeez. Little drop shot fish, largemouth again. You want to talk about a fish that didn't know what he was eating. He bit it, I hooked him, lost him. He bit it on the fall, dropped it back down, bit it again. He wanted that bait. Yeah, it's getting to be middle of the day now. I'm afraid that reaction bite's probably coming to an end. That's why I went back to that drop shot, picked up the spinning rod again. I found a little lip going from like 10 to 14. Real slow taper. It's not like it's a ledge or anything, but there seem to be some fish along it, so I'm going to spend a few more minutes here. There's starting to be some ski boats running around. We'll probably wrap it up pretty soon. How's that for a bluegill? Good night. I'd say that qualifies as a trophy bluegill. Wow. That's a big one. All right, guys, let's do a little recap. It's getting hot out here. It is 11:39. We're calling it. So, what did we spend out here today? A little less than 4 hours. The goal was to learn the lay of the land here, learn a little bit about the lake, catch some fish, and to talk about how to break it down. So, I want to recap, just make sure you understood what I was doing out here. Goal number one was to get a lay of the land. I cheated a little bit last night, got on Google Earth as well as a paper map and just took a look at the lake. Before you get to the water, obviously that's where you want to start. Get a lay of the land so that when you get there and you go to launch, you at least have a feeling of where things are. That's why when we pulled up to the ramp, I said I knew there were a couple of islands in the lake. I had taken a look at the map and at least understood a little bit about how this thing laid out. Goal number two, get a feel for the water. I immediately saw we had warm water. More importantly, we had murky water, and that's going to change the options quite a bit. Number three, find those fish. In my mind, we basically had two options. One was to go ultra shallow, but thinking that this place was primarily smallmouth, I liked plan B a little bit better, and that was to go as far out as we could. And the main reason for going out rather than in, other than the smallies, was that big moon that I mentioned. We had a full moon a couple days ago. That full moon in June, that can really mess with the fish. So those fish that are the farthest offshore, the ones that stopped spawning the longest ago, that are the farthest into their summer pattern, they're going to be the least impacted by that big moon. As you can see, our weather was dead flat calm, not a ripple, so stripers really aren't going to be a factor. They hate this weather. They're probably down in deep water. Other than that, it's hot. I don't know how hot it is. Let's see if I can find out. Baking hot is what I would call it. I mean, it's not even noon yet. What do we have here? Yeah, 98 degrees. It's not even noon. I'm roasting. So I knew our window was going to be short, and that's why we're not going to fish all day. These fish got up, they fed early, and then they got out. Key baits for us today, of course, was starting with that topwater. the beauty of a topwater, if you're fishing in an environment where they'll generally come up and eat, is that you can learn a lot so quickly. Whether the fish get it or not, if they rise to that bait, you can see the fish. You can see species, you can see size. If they're blowing up on other things, you can get an idea for bait fish very quickly. All critical information for your day. I intentionally launched late to kind of eliminate the bulk of that because frankly it makes breaking down a lake pretty simple. And I wanted to struggle a little bit with you guys as we tried to find these fish. So we started with the topwater, then we went to reaction. In this case, it was a deeper diving crankbait because we were fishing that outside. But the key was just to cover water. That helps you find those fish as quickly as possible. Whether they're big ones, small ones, every bite is information that we need so that we can dial in that lake. And then the last was, as it was starting to get sunny, starting to pick up that spinning rod. Just caught a couple fish on the spinning rod, one on a small swim bait, one on the drop shot, but just reconfirming that those fish were backing out, backing off. And then when the ski boats get here, that's about game. So was today a success? In my mind, I would say yes. You know, we didn't change the world. There are bigger fish in here than what we caught, but there are not a lot of big fish in here. So I'm thrilled with the way today went. You know, we caught a limit. We probably culled a couple of times, as well as had some little fish that wouldn't count. But we definitely had better than a limit of keepers. And we identified key structure that they're on. Coming back later in the morning and taking a second look at some of these spots, I had more time to look at how they laid out. And I'm confident that if I came back here tomorrow, I could probably catch 2 or 3 times as many fish because I saw sort of how they were coming in, how they were going out. So today was a huge success. No giants, but we caught fish. We saw how this place laid out, and we saw how we could probably replicate it going into the future. That's all there is to it, guys. Once you have that, you can build. I'm sure I missed 100 little places in here that have fish on them, right? They're not all out here on this big main structure, but we broke it down to the point that we could catch fish right away, and that's the key. I hope you guys can take this information, apply it to your own lakes back home, and dial them in a little bit better, start catching some more, maybe even some bigger fish. Hope that helps you. You know, if you guys enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media. Of course, we have apparel. You can email us for that. And we love all your interaction. So if you guys have video ideas, things that you'd like to see in the future, you just let us know. Have a great day. Which is not an advertisement for anybody. I opened my reel when it's brand new. I put one brake on, one brake popped out, 5 brakes in. So basically what that is,
you have a lot of various types of fish relating to the same type of structure. You know, the main lake points have schools of whites, they have schools of big schools of gizzard shad out there on them, and schools of bass. So, you know, we spent a lot of time trying to break down and distinguish from what was what. So we spent a lot of time on the hummingbird onyx today, and you know, that paid off big. We found 2 good schools of fish, and both of them, you know, gave us quality bites. As far as baits, you know, we stuck with the 6 and the 10XD. Those are really not mainstays for cranking. I'm starting to use the 8XD a lot more around brush and things like that, but I mean, my old